Welcome back, Hijinks Nation. And Joe is on a roller coaster.
This podcast is a roller coaster, let me tell you.
Yeah, this podcast is a roller coaster. Jesse, what are we talking about today?
Well, today we're going to talk about quality equipment. So not necessarily price point, but why we're going to get quality, what the benefit is to us as DJs, as well as benefits to the client that we would have quality equipment. So Kyle, I know, you're one of my DJ buddies who you don't skimp on anything. When you see something, you want the absolute best there can possibly be. So give me some examples of some quality equipment you've maybe spent a little bit too much money on.
Most of it? No.
Yes.
Yeah. Next segment. No. So for a long time, I did what a lot of beginner DJs do, and everybody starts this way. You buy what you can afford, and I just need something to get in. I just need something to do it. But my problem was I kept doing that a little bit. I'll upgrade, but I'm not going to upgrade as far as I can. I'm going to upgrade so it's good enough. And I did that for a long time, and I kind of, going back and thinking about it, I kind of wasted a lot of money on that, because you buy the OK light and it lasts for, maybe a year. Then you got to buy a whole new set of them, and then you got to buy a whole new set of them. Whereas if you just bought the really good one to begin with, you could have used it for 6 seasons maybe. You can use it for a long time. So, a lot of other people use it, but I start using the concept, buy once, cry once. Do the best you can do at the time when you decide to upgrade whatever piece of equipment it is. Do the absolute best that you can do, because it's going to pay for itself in the long run, not just in the fact that it generally will last longer, but it's better quality. If it's a light, it's going to look just a little bit better. The diodes are a little bit better if it's an LED light. If it's a speaker, the speakers are made just a little bit better, so they sound better. If it's a controller, the sound card sounds a little bit better. It's more high quality. The inputs are better. Just those little things throughout the whole thing that just make it a little bit better. And that's kind of why I'm just like, I'm done buying the cheap stuff. So,
well, and Jesse, I think you and I we haven't actually talked about it, but we both learned, because when we both wanted moving heads, we both started with cheaper moving heads than we have now. And we quickly learned how much we liked them, and we quickly learned, how great they were, and all the versatility that they had. So then we upgraded. But it's like, if we would have taken that, whatever we spent on the first ones and put it into another one, we could have had maybe another nice light.
Yeah, the moving heads are actually a really good example, because you and I both went
cheaper
on the entry level side, but in different ways. I went on an entry level side of size. I thought, okay, it's a moving head. I can put it on my stand. It'll do what I want. And I quickly learned that a really nice feature in moving heads, not only brightness, when you bump up and get a higher end light, you get it a lot brighter, which makes it show up in a room that's maybe not pitch black. But also the lights that I had, they happened to be they were Chauvet pin spots, or not pin spots.
Pockets,
NO pocket spots.
Yeah.
So they were a circle that would move around the room. I had 2 of them. So they were a circle. When they got to the back of the room, they'd be, I don't know,
fairly big,
3-4 foot wide. So, all right. But I learned when I upgraded, there's a feature in higher end moving heads called Prism, which what it does, it expands, it takes that dot and multiplies it multiplied by 6. So it goes from that 3 or 4 foot dot on the back of the room to like a 30-foot dot on the back. So now, still the same amount of moving heads, I'm covering 6 times the surface area
with one.
And you ordered a Chinese brand.
Both of them were Chinese brands.
The wattage was really high, but the lights were massive.
Massive, bigger than my head, like huge. They were massive.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, dude. They were like, but they were heavy, but the output was super good. But the functionality and the logistical aspects of them were not good. They'd be good for a permanent install. If you had them up hanging somewhere or whatever, they were great lights. But logistically, to take them somewhere every weekend, you're right. I learned that that's one thing you don't really want to skimp on is moving heads. And as I'm looking at, what new is coming out, what's better, what, do the big ones even offer more? Is it worth it? And quite frankly, as far as I've found out and as far as I've seen, it's not really worth it. The bigger ones right now don't have enough stuff in them for me to want to upgrade. I'd rather buy 2 more of our size, 80J Focus Spot 2s. I'd rather buy 2 more of those and run 4 of those as opposed to running 2 big ones.
Yeah, and a big light that just got announced, or a big upgrade to an already existing light. One of the most popular lights in the DJ industry for the past few years it's called the Gig Bar by Chauvet. Mm-hmm. Well, this year they announced they're coming out with, it's called a Gig Bar Move. So they're actually adding a pair of moving heads on this Gig Bar system, which has a lot of different lighting elements in it.
Which are the first ones you had, right? Yeah. Essentially.
It's good to note that these are the Chauvet pocket spots that they've attached. So I've told some of these guys that have messaged me and said, hey, what do you think about this new Gig Bar? And I've told them, like, they are moving heads. They'll pivot, they'll look cool, but they are just a dot. They don't prism. They're not going to be a huge mind-blowing effect.
Right.
They're going to create movement into the room. You're not going to be able to put a spotlight on the couple for the first dance. You're not going to be able to move that over to the doorway for a grand entrance because it's going to be a dot. Mm-hmm. So if you just want entry-level moving heads, a Gig Bar Move won't be so bad. But if moving heads really excite you, skip that Gig Bar, get a pair of decent moving heads. And for the price of the Gig Bar, I think is about $800. You can get a decent pair of moving heads for like 13.
I didn't even pay that for mine. I think I paid 11 for mine.
So you're almost there. Just do one more gig and buy the nice moving heads and you'll be happy you did.
Kyle, what do you run for lights?
Right now I'm just running 2 light bars by ADJ. I just kind of wash bars, the UB12 hexes. I really like them. They're really nice. I'm looking to get into the moving heads. It's something I haven't done yet. I actually bought some kind of entry-level moving heads before I really thought that I wanted to get into DMXing, and DMXing was still a little bit too much for me at the time and things like that. So I got rid of them fairly quickly, unfortunately.
Before you were friends.
What's that?
Before you were friends with Jesse and I.
Yeah, before I was friends with you guys and all limitations went out the window. But so that was one of those things I kind of lost money on. I was like, hey, this will be really cool. And I thought that I could run it just like I ran, the lights that I turned on and off with a 80J switch for how many years. Oh, they'll run just like that and they'll be perfect. No, if you're not going to DMX moving heads, don't buy moving heads. Mm-hmm. Even so, those are the sort of things that I do right now. And so moving heads are kind of your thing. My big thing, I've talked about it a couple of times on this thing, is wireless systems. They're a huge thing going on in DJing right now, being able to, have remote speakers or, different things like that for cocktail hour or a ceremony or even a remote just in your reception hall because it's a giant hall. And that way you don't have to bring in 4 more speakers for the front. You can just put 1 in the back and then you're fine.
Right.
So the one that I highly recommend, thank you, Ben Stowe, very much for recommending it to me. It's a Sennheiser in-ear monitor system. It's the IEM 400, I believe, Duo. So there's 2 of them. And I I can't swear by this thing enough. Jesse and Joey and Joe are tired of me talking about it. I send them videos and things all the time. Just, why you guys got to buy this? You got to buy this. There's other systems out there. Sennheiser also has the small little XLR ones, and I do have a pair of those also for just little short distance ones. Actually got my box right here.
I have mine right here
for those. Yeah, I have this one right here. Sorry, the XS wireless digital. I have those too. As we all pull them out. Yeah. So anyway, and they do work really well for small areas and stuff. But
yours go through walls.
Yeah, like example, I have I did a venue once where I hardwired in 2 of my speakers for the main area, then through about a 2 cinder block thick wall, went inside for the reception, and then also I ran one in that same building to the back side of the building downstairs, and I ran a wireless system there for cocktail hour, and I ran it all off of my controller. I could all run everything so no matter where you went in the venue, it was the same exact music everywhere you went. There was no lag, no dropouts, and from that moment on, I was sold on it. I'd used it a couple times before that, but I've used this thing through huge walls. I've used it in town celebrations where I ran satellite speakers 2 or 3 blocks in different directions. No dropouts. Everybody can still hear. I swear by that thing, and to me, it's a huge game changer. Just being able to offer that, just to be like, oh, hey, yeah, this is a gigantic venue, but I can cover it in 3 speakers, no problem. And, one of the ones that I showed Jesse, I was doing a venue. It was really weird, but it was kind of a small area for the dance floor, but then they had a balcony that was kind of overlooking, but I had another one in the way back corner there up on top of the balcony, and then another one way down the hall into the bar area, and running another one back there. And again, no dropouts, no nothing. It was just, I love it. Works really well. Don't buy the Alto Stealth system, please. I know too many people have tried it, and it's not what you think. Well, I don't know. The Pro one might be better.
I was going to say there are 2 different ones. There's the first one that came out, and there's the Pro version that came out here 6 to 8 months ago.
Yeah.
I haven't personally used either one, but I've heard the Pro is greatly improved from the original version.
Yeah, and I was a little surprised that they dropped it, because they actually brought that out like 4 years ago. They had the Alto Stealth system, and then like a year after that, they brought out the Pro, but then they discontinued the Pro, but now they brought it back. So I don't know if they were getting complaint. Like, I have no idea, but I know that it was a discontinued, and then now they brought it back, which I'm glad they did. And if it's better, I really hope that works if people buy that. But please buy the Pro, don't buy the other one, because it's just, you're going to get those laggy distances and things like that.
For the price point of the Pro, they're the same price point or just a little bit more. There's some better solutions out there.
Yeah.
I think the Pro is $700 or $800.
Yeah, which isn't terrible. The Sennheiser system that I use, sometimes it goes on sale for different prices. It was $1,300 when I bought it, but I'm not sad for any dollar I spent on that thing. I love it.
So let's talk about some controllers a little bit. That's what most of these wedding DJs are using to control their music these days. And there is a vast, you can get a basic no frills. I think it's called a Newmark Mixtrack Go or Mixtrack Pro. There's some entry level ones. We're talking $100, $125. All the way up to controller I personally run is a Pioneer SZ2. It's a $2,000 controller. So let's talk about quality differences and maybe usability differences from a $100 controller to a $2,000 controller.
Well, we can even talk about the difference between you and I DJ gigs together every once in a while, and the difference between your SZ2 and my SX2. just the functionality. And then you go down, like you said, you go down to like the SB that you have, or even lower than that. There's a lot of the effects, a lot of the pads, just the way it feels not as expensive, not as luxurious. And that being said, the outputs that they have. So Kyle was talking about outputs, the sound card. You want the ones that have their own built-in power. You don't want to have to power it off a USB because you start running USB for your controller, for your lights, for, maybe you're charging a phone, for, for everything. You start running a controller for all that, or a USB for all that stuff. Pretty soon you run out, and you're also overworking your computer. So, having a power supply, when you upgrade to those higher end models, personally, I feel like it's better to have its own power supply. And along with that, just the features, the effects that are built in. We talk about it all the time. For instance, the S9 mixer that you have has post fade on it. So it has post fade effects, which I would love to have. And for those of you that don't know what post fade effects are, if you trigger your echo and you slam down your fader, it's still going to echo out gradually, but it's still going to echo out post fade. So stuff like that, I don't have on mine. I wish I did. I know you wish you had it on your SZ too. But then again, that's another price point up because an S9 with 2 decks, no matter what you're running, you're looking at almost, $3,000 for something like that.
Yeah. And, to go back to the USB powered, so the first controller I ever had was USB powered. It was a Pioneer DGJ SR.
Yeah.
When I got that thing, I was so excited. I was stoked. And it's still not a bad controller. But being USB powered, there's a few things that can happen. For one, Macs especially, I've heard of a USB port can actually go to sleep. Believe it or not, it can deactivate itself after maybe it thinks it's not being used, or you have it set on a timer of, I've heard it in the photo booth industry as well as the DJ industry where they're not getting anything out of this USB port and they go in to their devices and they just have to reactivate it. Also, if your USB cable goes bad, you've got no power to that controller at all and you lose everything. Where a powered controller, you still keep power and you can still run an auxiliary, a phone, a tablet, or something through that controller, even if the USB to your computer goes bad. Another thing, and it's becoming more and more popular, I know, like I think the 7000, the MC7000 Denon, you can correct me if I'm wrong. A lot of them are coming with A and B USB ports.
Yep.
So you can actually connect your backup computer to the controller, and if your main computer goes down, you're literally like 2 seconds you're back up and going. There's no unplugging, swapping computers. So
it's actually a reason that I run the 7th. There's the first controller I actually ever bought was a 7000. And that's actually the reason I went with that instead of the 8000, even though the 8000 is a higher tier. It had a few more options, things like that. But the specific reason I went to it is because it had 2 USB inputs, so I could have my backup and my main running at the same time. And I had that one time. It doesn't happen very often, but I had my computer kind of froze. Luckily, it didn't stop playing my music or anything, but I couldn't load another song. So I just quick pushed the button, flipped it, restarted my main computer, ran my secondary one. As soon as I was back up, okay, this one's ready, back over.
So it's a big question of, I don't know, I would say, would you rather?
See what you did.
See what I did there?
I don't get it, but okay.
I'm not stopping it until you guys dance. Kyle? Good. I see the mug. I see the mug going up and down. Okay, so this time, I'll stop the music, sorry. This time, we're doing Would You Rather. So the first one I'm going to ask is,
yes.
Would you rather, this is for Jesse, actually this is for both of you. First of all, would you rather go on a roller coaster, or Would you rather go skydiving?
Skydiving.
Skydiving.
Okay.
I
Good.
love roller coasters and I really want to go on them, but I really want to go skydiving.
Okay.
Okay. The alarm signals that it's would you rather, but you can't explain your answer. It's just got to
Sorry.
no explanation.
Nope. All right. Question number 1. This is for Jesse. Would you rather go into the past and meet your ancestors or go into the future and meet your great-great-grandchildren?
The future.
Okay. Kyle, your question? Future? Okay. No, well, oh, you can answer that one too. Okay. Kyle, you'll start this one. Would you rather have more time or more money?
Money.
Yeah. Because money can buy you time.
Yeah, that is true. I will allow that explanation. That is a good one. Okay. Jesse, this one's for you. Would you rather have a rewind button to go back and redo anything or a pause button to enjoy anything at the certain time?
Rewind, for sure.
Okay. Kyle?
Pause.
Pause? Okay. I'm curious. No, I actually want to know. Why do you say pause?
It's not a great moment. But when somebody very close to me died, I just wish I could have paused and had that moment for just a little bit longer.
That's good. That's a good reason. It's a pretty good reason. Would you rather, Kyle, be able to speak with animals or speak every foreign language?
Every foreign language.
Okay. Jesse? Animals. Okay. A couple more here. Would you rather win the lottery, Kyle, or would you rather live twice as long?
Lottery.
Jesse?
The lottery.
Okay. And so now we're going to segue. If you won the lottery tomorrow, what would be the first 5 things you would do with your money?
5 things?
5 things. Kyle, same with you. First 5 things.
Okay, I'd buy. Our man Ben Stowe would like me because I would place a massive order of DJ equipment.
Shout out to Ben Stowe, NFL.
That is also in my top 5.
Okay. Mine too.
I would take all my friends and family on amazing vacation.
What's Kyle going to do then?
Yeah, I'm confused. Where? Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
He can stay home and organize my new DJ equipment.
Which would equally be as...
It's not bad. If you're spending this much money on it, it'd probably be a lot of fun.
Okay. You're at 2.
I would buy all my immediate family a house.
Okay. 3.
I would start a massive investment account or savings account, whatever would be the most lucrative for each of my kids.
Okay. And last one.
I'd buy a badass car.
What would you buy?
I'd probably go like some sort of McLaren or Lamborghini.
All right. Proud of you. Kyle, your turn.
Definitely call Ben Stowe.
Okay.
That would be number 2 on my list. Number 1 on my list would be pay all my debt off first. Student loans, house, all that kind of stuff. Then I would also set up sort of trust and investment for my kids, parents, family, all that kind of stuff. What is that, 3?
Yep.
4, ironically, my wife and I have actually talked about this before. We'd said there's actually a type of charity that we try to set up to kind of help give back and do some sort of things around the places that we live and stuff. And then 5 would also buy a badass automobile.
Which would be?
I'm super boring. It would actually just be a super tricked out truck, like just like a Dodge Ram 3500 for no reason whatsoever.
Be a super nice Toyota Camry.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't be that generic and boring, but just like a really awesome tricked out, like
You at least
500 for no reason.
like a Ford Raptor or something.
No, like it would seriously just be a Dodge Ram 3500 mega cab.
Like a super nice Pacifica.
Yeah, super nice. like all the bells and whistles.
Top line. Ellie.
Yeah, I think I might even go for the heated seats.
Ooh. Would you get the
Yeah.
air conditioned seats?
Probably not. That's a little ridiculous.
So
I
nice.
only have a couple million.
Kyle would fit in one of those like European sports cars. Kyle's a big.
Nah,
I was a big dude. I don't think he'd fit.
I might be able to sit in the back seat and drive from the front, but
I don't think there's a back seat in a McLaren.
Motor's back.
But there isn't Porsches, and that's actually how Shaq drives a Porsche. He takes the front seat out and he sits in the back.
Well, you wear the same size suit as Shaq, so that
I do. It's a fun fact. I wear the same size suit coat.
Last question. Would you rather be stranded in the middle of the ocean for a week or stranded in outer space for a week?
Outer space. Not close.
guaranteed to come home.
Guaranteed to come home from both of them.
Yeah, outer space. We're good.
Okay. That's fine. Well played. Well played. That's all the time we have for this
And I
segment.
also don't like the stipulations. What is this? Guaranteed to come home.
Hey,
Right.
shark space.
Exactly. That's why it's just no. I don't care what it is. I'm not going in the middle of the ocean for a week.
Yeah, that sounds awful. Okay. Can we talk about the roller coasters real quick?
Sure.
I just saw one that I liked when you guys were talking, and I immediately looked at the name of it, and I wanted to go on it. So that's what I would do with $1 million, or if I won the lottery, build a roller coaster in Jesse's backyard.
So these are real roller coasters behind you?
Yeah.
I thought it was just a digital thing.
No, people do POVs.
Shout out to Millennium Force.
Millennium Force.
Yeah.
There it
That's your
is.
point, right, Kyle?
Yeah, Cedar Point. It's awesome. Great
Ohio.
place.
All right. So back to, quality equipment, why to purchase it. We've talked about controllers. We've talked a little bit about wireless solutions. How about speakers? What do you feel is the difference in kind of the entry level versus a good high quality PA wedding DJ speaker?
I have a one-word answer for that. And then, Kyle, you can go because I know you're very thoughtful on this. One word. Clarity.
Yeah, that's a really big one. When I really went to my professional grade sound system, it was kind of crazy. The difference, I hadn't spent that much less on what I had before, but it's just because I bought so much, and I bought way more than I needed to do weddings. I bought two 12-inch tops, and then I had two more for backup, and then I also bought two 15-inch subs, and then I bought an 18-inch sub because I might need that because you just never know. And I could just, if I just would have spent the same amount of money on a good one, I could have done all those same exact things.
Right.
And we've talked about it before. I rock the Evolve 50s. Jesse has Evolve 50s. Joe has Evolve 50s. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we might be a little bit biased towards EV and stuff like that, but it is a little crazy how much better it sounds, how much clearer it is, how much farther it travels, the dispersion pattern, even the range just in the speakers themselves, they're, the vocal range and the voicing, and it's just so much better. They don't require 85 different chords. It's a cleaner look. Buy professional stuff if you can.
I think I haven't had low end speakers, but I've had mid-range. There's different brands out there that are considered more mid-range, and there's brands and versions that are more high-end. And what I've seen from seeing other DJs that have maybe these entry-level low-end speakers is they all come out of the box sounding pretty darn good. Even the cheapest speakers, you go into Guitar Center, out of the box, they sound pretty good. But how long can they sound good at a high volume? You're taking them to parties, you're pushing them. Maybe you got this pair of speakers for $300. They've got LEDs inside of them, all this crazy stuff. After a couple gigs, they start to maybe crackle, or they can't handle the low end as well. And that's due to the parts that are put in the speakers. They're just not made to be pushed that
They
hard.
get tired.
So to me, that's what the big difference is. The nicer speakers, their peak and their RMS wattages that, we're not going to get technical, but in all speakers, car speakers, DJ speakers, you'll see the cheap brands bragging about 4,000 watts, 7,000 watts. Well, there's a lot more that goes into it than wattage. There's ohms, there's amperage, there's peak versus RMS. There's a lot of technicalities that go in there that people need to know what they mean before they say, oh, this 2,000 watt speaker is definitely twice as good as this 1,000 watt speaker.
Yeah. Plug in your speakers to this one. Let me grab it here. Ben Stowe, I hope you're proud of me. So a kilowatt. Plug in your speakers sometime and actually just turn it up full volume and really crank it until you can hardly crank it anymore. Even if it says it's 1,000 watt speaker, you're probably pulling 485, 600 maybe. Like, you're not pulling 1,000 watts. It can do it, but it's not doing it all the time. And that's even with your, even with the Evolve 50s and stuff, they're not pulling 1,000 watts every single second that you're running them.
Right.
But they can do it, and they're rated to do that. Whereas, like he said, if you buy a cheaper speaker, okay, it can run at 2,700 watts for one peak second, and if it does, it's never going to sound good again. But it can do it, and it's not going to break. But
well, I would say, just like speakers, this podcast is high quality. We try to bring high quality. So any of the high quality stuff that we talked about, if you want to talk to Kyle, if you want to talk to Jesse, if you want to talk to me, you know how to get a hold of us. Message our hijinks page. Jesse, what do you always say? Like,
share, and subscribe.
Till next time, deuces.